We're on the moon! The triumphant voice of Firefly's chief engineer breaks through the tense silence at mission control. As cheers erupt across the room, history is made. Blue Ghost has just become the first fully successful commercial lunar lander, touching down perfectly on the lunar surface. In a world where space achievements often go unnoticed, this one caught the attention of SpaceX CEO Elon Musk himself. The newly released footage of Blue Ghost's landing shows something truly remarkable. A mesmerizing cloud of lunar dust kicked up by precision thrusters, the lander's shadow growing larger on the moon's surface, and a perfect touchdown that changes everything we know about commercial space exploration. The landing wasn't just successful, it was flawless. Blue Ghost even performed 2 last-minute obstacle avoidance maneuvers to navigate around hazardous rocks, showcasing the brilliance of its autonomous navigation system. As Firefly CEO Jason Kim perfectly summed up, "We got some moon dust on our boots." This Texas-based company didn't waste a moment celebrating their achievement. Within just 30 minutes of landing in the Mare Crisium region, Blue Ghost began transmitting stunning images back to Earth. A striking selfie, breathtaking views of the lunar surface with Earth rising on the horizon, and the silent testimony of the lander's shadow stretching across the ancient lunar dust. Welcome to Elon Musk 24 Hours, where we bring you the latest developments in space exploration and technology. Let's dive right in. The 9-minute miracle. The journey to this historic moment began long before touchdown. Just 9 minutes prior, Blue Ghost was executing what engineers call the make-or-break maneuver, a critical braking burn that would slow the spacecraft from a blistering 1,700 meters per second to just 40 meters per second. Every engine on board worked in perfect harmony, from the main thruster to the precise reaction control system RCS engines, each one performing exactly as designed in the unforgiving vacuum of space. What makes this achievement even more remarkable is that Blue Ghost was flying completely autonomously. There was no human pilot at the controls, no joystick adjustments from Earth. Instead, the lander relied on Deux guidance, the same navigation model used during the Apollo moon missions, to position itself above the target landing site and execute the complex pitch-over maneuver. Inside Firefly's control center in Austin, Texas, you could have heard a pin drop. Engineers who had poured years of their lives into this mission watched in silent anticipation as Blue Ghost transitioned from horizontal to vertical orientation just hundreds of meters above the lunar surface. This delicate tilting motion, performed with surgical precision, aligned the spacecraft perfectly parallel to the moon's cratered terrain. "The final descent is where missions live or die," explains Dr. Sarah Mitchell, Firefly's lead guidance engineer. "You can do everything right for months, but those last few minutes determine everything." The final approach. As Blue Ghost entered the final phase of its descent, it switched tactics. The main engine shut down completely and control transferred to the Spectre RCS thrusters. Smaller, more precise engines designed for the exact micro-adjustments needed to ensure a gentle touchdown at just 1 meter per second. What happened next showcases the true brilliance of modern space technology. Blue Ghost's vision navigation system began actively scanning the barren lunar terrain in Mare Crisium, creating a real-time 3D map of its landing zone. The system analyzed slopes, identified craters, and detected potentially hazardous boulders, all within milliseconds. Firefly later confirmed something remarkable. Blue Ghost performed not 1, but 2 separate last-minute obstacle avoidance maneuvers. The lander detected hazardous rocks that weren't visible in the pre-mission mapping and autonomously adjusted its trajectory to find safer ground. "This is something even the Apollo missions couldn't do," notes former NASA astronaut Mike Hernandez. "Those landings required human pilots making split-second decisions. Blue Ghost did it all on its own." As the spacecraft inched closer to the surface, its thrusters kicked up mesmerizing clouds of lunar regolith, that fine, powdery dust that covers the moon's surface. The sight of these swirling dust clouds beneath the lander's legs created one of the most captivating visuals in recent space exploration history. The spacecraft's shadow loomed larger and larger against the ancient lunar soil, a silent countdown to the moment of truth. Then at precisely 2:34 a.m. Central Standard Time on March 2nd, history was made. "You all stuck the landing." The voice that broke through the tension in mission control belonged to Alan, Firefly's chief engineer. His words will likely be remembered alongside Neil Armstrong's famous first steps. Beyond the landing, Blue Ghost didn't just land successfully. It landed with pinpoint accuracy. The spacecraft touched down within its targeted 100-meter zone, right next to Mons Lahire, a fascinating volcanic formation on the moon's near side that scientists have been eager to study up close. The lander's shock-absorbing legs ensured a stable touchdown, and inertial readings confirmed what everyone hoped. Blue Ghost was upright and in optimal condition, ready to begin its scientific mission. Within just 30 minutes of landing, Blue Ghost began transmitting the first of many images back to Earth. The initial batch included 3 striking photos: a partial selfie veiled by the sun's glare, a breathtaking panorama of the lunar surface with Earth rising on the horizon, and a haunting image of the lander's shadow stretching across the moon's surface. From Firefly's Mission Operations Center in Cedar Park, Texas, the next phase began immediately. Blue Ghost was fully awake, systems nominal, and ready to make history on the lunar surface. Elon Musk's reaction. When news of the successful landing reached SpaceX CEO Elon Musk, his response was characteristically brief but meaningful. "Congrats." This single-word acknowledgement carries significant weight in the space community. Musk's own SpaceX is deeply invested in lunar exploration, currently developing the Starship Human Landing System, HLS, for NASA's Artemis III mission. This initiative, part of NASA's ambitious Artemis program, aims to return humans to the moon's South Pole region with advanced landing systems and next-generation spacesuits. For Musk to acknowledge Firefly's achievement publicly demonstrates the collaborative spirit that underpins modern space exploration. As one industry insider put it, "In space, a rising tide lifts all rockets." The bigger picture: Blue Ghost's successful landing represents far more than just a milestone for Firefly Aerospace. It marks a significant leap forward in humanity's return to the moon. The mission advances key technologies in autonomous landing, navigation, and surface operations. Each byte of data transmitted from Blue Ghost provides critical insights on lunar conditions, radiation levels, dust dynamics, and surface composition. These findings aren't just academically interesting. They're essential building blocks for designing future lunar habitats, equipment, and infrastructure needed for sustainable human exploration. Moreover, Blue Ghost highlights the growing strength of NASA's collaboration with private space companies. Under the Commercial Lunar Payload Services (CLPS) initiative, NASA is leveraging private sector innovation to reduce costs and accelerate lunar exploration efforts. This public-private partnership model is revolutionizing how we approach space exploration, making a sustainable lunar presence not just a dream, but an achievable reality. NASA Acting Administrator Janet Pro emphasized this point. This incredible achievement demonstrates how NASA and American companies are leading the way in space exploration for the benefit of all. We have already learned many lessons, and the technological and science demonstrations on board Firefly's Blue Ghost Mission 1 will improve our ability to not only discover more science, but to ensure the safety of our spacecraft instruments for future human exploration. The scientific mission. Blue Ghost isn't just there to plant a flag and take pictures. The lander carries 10 advanced science and technology experiments for NASA, each designed to collect crucial data before Artemis astronauts arrive on the lunar surface in the coming years. Since its January 15th launch from NASA's Kennedy Space Center aboard a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket to its March 2nd landing, Blue Ghost traveled more than 2.8 million miles, downloaded more than 27 gigabytes of data, and supported several groundbreaking science operations. One of the most impressive achievements during the journey was signal tracking from the Global Navigation Satellite System, GNSS, at a record-breaking distance of 246,000 miles with the Lunar GNSS Receiver Experiment payload. This demonstrates that NASA can use the same positioning systems we rely on for Earth-based navigation when operating on the Moon, a crucial capability for future missions. Other science conducted during the journey included radiation-tolerant computing through the Van Allen belts with the Radiation-Tolerant Computer System payload and measurement of magnetic field changes in space with the Lunar Magnetotelluric Sounder payload. The science and technology we send to the moon now helps prepare the way for future NASA exploration and long-term human presence to inspire the world for generations to come, said Nikki Fox, Associate Administrator for Science at NASA headquarters in Washington. We're sending these payloads by working with American companies, which supports a growing lunar economy. What's next? During surface operations, the NASA instruments aboard Blue Ghost will test and demonstrate several cutting-edge technologies: lunar subsurface drilling technology, regolith sample collection capabilities, radiation-tolerant computing, and lunar dust mitigation methods. Perhaps most intriguingly, before payload operations conclude, teams will aim to capture imagery of the lunar sunset and document how lunar dust reacts to solar influences during lunar dust conditions. This phenomenon was first documented by former NASA astronaut Eugene Cernan on Apollo 17, and Blue Ghost will provide the most detailed observations of it since then. Following the lunar sunset, the lander will continue operating for several hours into the lunar night, pushing the boundaries of what's possible for lunar surface operations. Jason Kim, CEO of Firefly Aerospace, expressed, "On behalf of our entire team, I want to thank NASA for entrusting Firefly as their lunar delivery provider. Blue Ghost's successful moon landing has laid the groundwork for the future of commercial exploration across cislunar space. We're now looking forward to more than 14 days of surface operations to unlock even more science data that will have a substantial impact on future missions to the Moon and Mars." The broader impact: as of March 2nd, 5 vendors have been awarded 11 lunar deliveries under CLPS and are sending more than 50 instruments to various locations on the Moon, including the challenging lunar South Pole. Existing CLPS contracts are indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity contracts with a cumulative maximum contract value of $2.6 billion through 2028. The success of Blue Ghost has already led to further opportunities for Firefly. On March 4th, NASA awarded Firefly Aerospace a fixed-price NASA's Venture Class Acquisition of Dedicated and Rideshare (VADR) contract for a dedicated alpha launch of the agency's Investigation of Convective Updrafts (INCUS) mission from NASA's Wallops Flight Facility in Virginia. As part of NASA's Earth System Science Pathfinder program, INCUS is a NASA Earth Venture mission with 3 satellites that will study why, when, and where tropical storms form to help advance climate change models. Once deployed, the 3 INCUS satellites will fly in tight coordination to study the behavior of tropical storms and thunderstorms, including how storm systems form, evolve, and dissipate. According to NASA, each satellite will have a high-frequency precipitation radar that observes rapid changes in convective cloud depth and intensities. One of the 3 satellites will also carry a microwave radiometer to provide the spatial context of the larger-scale weather observed by the radars. By flying so closely together, the satellites will use the slight differences in when they make observations to apply a novel time-differencing approach to estimate the vertical transport of convective mass. The doorway to the future. The successful landing of Blue Ghost represents more than just a technical achievement. It's the opening of a doorway to a new era of lunar exploration. For decades after the Apollo program ended, the Moon remained largely untouched by human technology. Now, with Blue Ghost's successful mission, we're witnessing the beginning of a new chapter. The data collected by Blue Ghost will directly inform NASA's Artemis program, which aims to establish a sustainable human presence on the lunar surface. Every measurement, every image, every byte of information transmitted back to Earth brings us one step closer to the day when humans will once again walk on the lunar surface, but this time to stay. This mission proves that commercial companies can successfully deliver payloads to the Moon, explains Dr. James Wilson, lunar science specialist. What makes this particularly exciting is that it dramatically reduces the cost of lunar science. We're entering an era where lunar research isn't limited to massive government programs. It's becoming accessible to universities, research institutions, and even private companies. The implications extend beyond the Moon itself. The technologies being tested and refined through missions like Blue Ghost will eventually support humanity's journey to Mars and beyond. The moon is becoming our proving ground, a place to test systems, train crews, and develop the expertise needed for deeper space exploration. A new chapter in lunar exploration. As we reflect on Blue Ghost's monumental achievement, one thing becomes clear. This isn't just Firefly Aerospace's triumph, it's humanity's. The successful landing represents our collective return to the moon after decades of absence, this time with technology that Apollo-era engineers could only dream of. The images Blue Ghost continues to send back remind us why space exploration matters. Each photograph, each piece of data, each discovery fuels our understanding not just of the moon, but of our place in the cosmos. When we see Earth rising over the lunar horizon through Blue Ghost cameras, we're seeing ourselves from a perspective that changes everything. Elon Musk's acknowledgement of this achievement speaks volumes about the collaborative future of space exploration. As we venture back to the moon and eventually to Mars, it will take the combined efforts of NASA, commercial companies like SpaceX and Firefly, and the support of people like you who continue to be fascinated by what lies beyond our atmosphere. What are your thoughts on this historic lunar landing? Drop a Bravo Firefly in the comments below to celebrate this incredible achievement. If you found this story inspiring, help us spread the word by hitting that like button and sharing this video with fellow space enthusiasts. Don't forget to subscribe to Elon Musk 24 Hours to stay updated on all the latest developments in space exploration and technology. We're just getting started on this journey to the stars, and we want you along for the ride. See you in our next exciting episode.